can get a used Willy for dirt cheap. I'll include a link to the Murdoch Ford's website in the description down below. They're providing us with this Wrangler. I'll also include a link to my car buying guide. Let's get right into it. Now this is a JL with the 3.6 liter Pentastar V6. Goes through an 8-speed, right? That 8-speed's a huge improvement over the old 5-speed. 285 horsepower, 260 pound-feet of torque. A little bit dusty. We're closing in on 500,000 subscribers. I'd really appreciate it if you'd help out with that. The black grille is an iconic part of the Willys package. You also get upgraded headlights. Now this version actually didn't have the upgraded turn signals. They've kind of added that down the road. And then you do have the plastic bumper. It still has recovery points. So the Willys definitely has a better appearance on the exterior. You also get the blacked out wheels. They'll typically come with mud terrain tires. This one probably has these added after the fact down the road. You got the Willys decal there, Wrangler, and then this one actually has the side steps. It's a Jeep, so it still has solid axles. Now, you'll commonly see this in the 2-door configuration, but you can get these in a 4-door if you need a bit more space. Speaking of mud terrain, the spare tire on this one is actually still the mud terrain tire, as you can see. Look at the difference in the tread on the spare versus the rest of the tires. But the point I'm trying to make is the exterior on the Willys looks good. And that'll lead us to the interior. With this package, they do the cloth interior, which is a little bit more basic, but saves you quite a bit of money. The wind blew the door closed. Anyways, this still gets enough features. So you have like radio controls in the back of the steering wheel. All of the Jeeps have pretty much the same gauge cluster. I mean, this is the slightly older iteration, but not too dissimilar from the new ones. And then all the infotainment system that you actually need. Single zone climate. Again, this is a 2-door. You don't need dual zone climate. You've got some USB ports there. You have a 2-speed transfer case. Now the newer Willys will come with a rear differential lock. The older version that this is did not come with that quite yet. So that is an upside to buying the newer versus the older version if you're kind of looking at these. Some cup holders, and then of course you got the center console space and signature Jeep grab handle. I also like the coloration on the dash on these. I need to remind you, the 2-door still has back seats. It's just not a lot of fun accessing them. And then most of these that I see will have the hard top configuration added to them, and it's easy to add stuff like the top insulation after the fact, so you can still have that convertible fun and have a little bit more sound deadening. And then obviously if you get 24 plus Wranglers, they'll have acoustic glass. These older ones will not have acoustic glass. Now when it comes to pricing, it's obviously going to vary based on year and mileage and all that, but here's the deal. These Willys brand new are usually right around $50,000 is what you'll typically see. Some of them even get up to $60,000 for the sticker price. That's obviously before Jeep's discounts. But this one, for example, is in the mid-20s, and that's what you'll commonly see with the Willys is once they're a few years old with a few miles on them, they'll be somewhere in the mid-20s to maybe the mid-30s, and so you're getting a huge discount off of the original MSRP by letting someone take the initial depreciation hit. And although Wranglers are not perfect by any means, the whole platform itself, the engine, transmission, and all of that are actually quite tested. And so as long as you do the regular maintenance thing and just take good care of your vehicle and don't beat it up too much, you should be able to get at least 100,000 plus miles out of this, even 200,000. This week's giveaway highlight is perfect for Mustang enthusiasts. The first car is a 60th anniversary GT convertible. You can't make a better date night car than that. The next car is a 1966 K-Code Mustang. It's got a V8, it's got a 4-speed manual, perfect for enthusiasts. And this is what you think of when you think of the word Mustang. Now, not only are the 2 Mustangs part of this giveaway, but also $34,000 in cash to help pay for the taxes. And your donations go towards helping children's and veterans charities. So use code BHC or click the link in the description down below or in the pinned comment. This will give you 4x bonus entries with any donation, $25 or more. Let's take this used Willy for a spin. See what it's all about. Yeah, I'm interested to see, you know, if the market gets flooded with Willys in the near future, because I see them a lot at the dealerships brand new. So that means that, well, new ones are eventually going to be used, and then used ones will eventually get traded in. Now, first things first, the 2-door, man, I know that like enthusiasts are all about 2-doors. I am not a fan. I just don't like the short wheelbase. It doesn't feel all that stable. It's kind of uncomfortable as well. And what is this beeping at me for? That was weird. Yeah, it's not like the worst thing on the planet, but it's just not as good as it, I guess, could be. And the good is the 4-door. I currently own a 4-door Wrangler, and I mean, it seems like that's the wheelbase that makes the most sense. Like, everyone talks about, oh, short wheelbases are better off-road, and it's like, to an extent. When you have too short of a wheelbase, then things get tippy all the time, whereas with the slightly longer, the 4-door, it actually feels pretty stable at higher speed off-road, and then at the crawling, definitely. And funny enough, as long as you have enough ground clearance, if you have a really long wheelbase when you're rock crawling, it actually makes it easier because you can kind of stretch out over the obstacle versus being all articulated and everything on the obstacle. But yeah, the 2-doors are fun. This thing drives really well. I just drove a Bronco before this, and you know what's really interesting is this is almost quieter than the Bronco. I didn't expect that because this has none of the it doesn't have the new glass, it doesn't have the new top insulation, none of it. I think part of it though is the tires. The Bronco had more aggressive tires. These Firestones are pretty nah, they're not too weak, but they're kind of weaker. They're kind of like a Weenie Hut tire. Weenie Hut Jr. If you ever watched SpongeBob, you know what I'm talking about. You got Weenie Hut Jr. and Super Weenie Hut Jr. Super Weenie Hut Jr. is like street tires on a Jeep. It's like, why are you doing that? But these new Wranglers drive pretty darn well. I mean, like, there's a little bit of steering kind of wishy-washiness, but it's actually not too bad. Stays in line pretty well, tracks pretty well. So, you do have to pay attention though. You do have to pay attention. So when I turn on the turn signal, it beeps at me. What is that about? What is that about? It seems kind of weird. Go down here and then I'll turn around. Just gotta make sure there's no one here. Yeah, it should be good. This is, I mean, the seats are firm, but they're pretty comfortable overall. I don't actually have any big complaints about the seats. So I think that's nice. Yeah, why is it beeping all the time? Huh. I wonder if it's like got a dash cam or something. And this V6 is so smooth with the 8-speed. And if you have an old 5-speed, go and drive the new 8-speed. You'll be impressed. You will be impressed. So you're thinking about getting a used Willy. I think it's worth it. Because like the Rubicons, you're paying the Rubicon tax, right? It's got the name, and you definitely have to pay for the name. But the Willys, on the other hand, it's still, and especially the new ones with the rear locker, it's still a very capable vehicle, looks great, but because it doesn't have the name, they don't hold their value as well. Well, to a point. They drop kind of big, and then they hold. That's what I've noticed with the Willys. So if you get one that's a few years old with a few miles on it like this, then it's gonna lose some value, right? It's still a car, it still depreciates, but it's not gonna depreciate all that much. They seem to hold pretty well. I actually sold, when I worked at the Jeep dealership, I sold one of these to one of my friends, and that's what he experienced. He bought it, and I think he sold it a few years later, and it really didn't lose that much. It just held pretty darn well. And because this doesn't have as much going on with it when it comes to the tech, you know, it should be, in theory, more reliable long term. Time will tell on that, but I think it would be, right? It just has less going on. So, should you get a used Willy? I think so. I think it's a good value.